boys. How's your apocalypse been going?
Now that we're finally all here, we can get down to...
almost forgot. There's a big honking group of baddies ready to descend on us like fresh meat at the buffet line. So, who's staying to play hero?
The world is being overrun by brainwashing aliens, and the Justice League is compromised. Every one of them is brainwashed. So it's up to Harley Quinn, Deadshot, Captain Boomerang, and King Shark to save the day, kind of. They're not really doing so out of the goodness of their hearts. They've got bombs implanted in their heads, and if they go off course, they get their heads exploded by Amanda Waller, who is just so angry. But this is a last resort to save the world and enter the Suicide Squad to sort of save the day.
Wait. Is that big dropkick driving the flaming train?
I am not. I have never traveled by train before.
Oh, brilliant.
As a group and as individuals, these characters aren't exactly likable. They're not going to suddenly have a hero arc. They are going to do things for the good of mankind, but they just want to take over the world when it's all done anyway. The simple concept of this set of characters fighting the Justice League is already pretty absurd. And as the game went on, I actually enjoyed the interactions between the characters more and more. This has a lot to do with the presentation of the game, specifically the characters' facial expressions. I don't know what's going on at Rocksteady, but they got something extremely right when it comes to how their faces move, how they talk, and how it lines up with dialogue as well. Throughout the main campaign, one of my main motivations was getting to the next cutscene in between combat scenarios. I was excited to see these characters interact because they have really good banter. However, in the open world, it is worth noting that there is a lot of repeat dialogue as you're moving from area to area, so just keep that in mind. It didn't get too annoying, but I definitely took note of it. There were just some lines that I heard over and over again, and I was like, okay, I gotta move the story forward so I can change the set of dialogue that I'm gonna hear.
Keep them coming, TFX. Terminal in the can needs more charge.
Each character plays differently enough from one another to be worth trying. I mean, you'll get into one flow with Harley Quinn, and that flow is not the same when it comes to playing as Deadshot. Their traversal mechanics work differently, and this affects the way you'll enter combat and maneuver through combat as well. And it does take some getting used to, but that's a good thing because this game feels different than other open world games that I've played recently. However, the controls to this game, the physical mappings are a little weird at first. But there's a lot that these characters can do, so I understand why the controls are a little complicated. And once you do get used to it, you're going to realize how much fun it is to do a cannonball onto a group of enemies as King Shark after doing these gigantic bounding leaps.
Presence ahead, holding the high ground. Show me what your killers do best. And do it fast.
And while you do pick a starting character, you can change characters pretty much whenever you want to. I think the only time you can't is when you're inside of a mission. So much of this game's story hinges on you not taking it too seriously, but having a good time along the way. And while the open world environment of Metropolis isn't super detailed, there's a lot of good design throughout the city. There's gigantic golden statues, there's destroyed neon signs, there's a really high-tech train that doesn't work anymore. The city's in shambles, but it looks really cool. And that's a really good thing because a huge focus of the gameplay in the Suicide Squad is traversal. You'll also flow seamlessly into combat from traversal, which I think is one of this game's standout features. And traversal is extremely important because you can only fast travel to one area on the map. Everywhere else you have to get to by foot or air or boomerang. And while there is a bit of variety in the way the characters work, there isn't a lot of variety in how the missions work. Most of the time you're going to be clearing groups of enemies, or you're going to be destroying encampments, or maybe you'll be escorting a truck. But the combat and the difficulty scaling is what keeps this game fresh, and hopefully over time they're going to add more mission types. Because this is a live service game, which means they're going to be adding content into the future. There's going to be new playable characters, new boss fights to enjoy, so the game's not done with content, so there's a potential for growth. So while there aren't a ton of mission types, there are modifiers within missions that really change the way it works. For example, there's a modifier that requires you to kill enemies with grenades. There's a modifier that makes it such that you can't do damage unless it's critical damage. And my only issue with these modifiers is that if you forget what the current modifier is, you have to go into your menu and check from the map. And if I could make one request, I would ask that the modifier be constantly visible on the screen when they're active. I can't tell you how many times I was fighting through a mission and I just did not do damage to anyone until realizing that they needed to be hit with a grenade or something. These modifiers actually got me really good at parts of the game that I wasn't exploring up until that point.
Christmas just came early for state-sanctioned violence.
The combat and the character progression are pretty straightforward until you get towards the end of the campaign. And the gear you equip just gets better over time until you start getting gear that greatly affects what happens when you throw a grenade or you use your traversal attack. And for me, this was jarring at first because I equipped a grenade and then suddenly I had no shield and I had no idea why, so I had to actually read all of my items to see what I was doing, and I had a grenade that took away my shield but made it more powerful. So once you start unlocking all of this more advanced gear, you're gonna see that there's a lot of build crafting potential in the Suicide Squad. So you can kit out each character so specifically that the playstyle changes even more and they feel even more different to play as. So I can't speak to the multiplayer experience since I did play this alone, but it took me about 20 hours to work through the campaign on my own, and I didn't get stuck on any boss fights really. And even after finishing the campaign and getting through some of the end game, there are still more things that I have not yet unlocked.
Assessing a new target.
Fine, one swing at a time.
If you haven't already figured it out, the Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is a really good game for somebody who likes checklists. Metropolis is full of Riddler trophies and races and things to find. You can take on side quests from your menus and just start knocking those out for more experience and gear. You can just roam around Metropolis fighting aliens as long as you want, or you can knock out some missions online with your friends. I actually haven't had too much of a chance to play the multiplayer. I did try to matchmake, but it didn't work. I don't know what that's about. But I think that there's a mechanic that if you're playing online with your friends and you do the best in a mission, then that gives you the right to choose the next one. And I thought that was pretty cool because there's nothing better than some friendly competition with your friends. And when it comes to actually choosing the next mission, it's as simple as walking to the next mission or choosing it from your map and marking a waypoint. The game does a lot to keep you flowing and keep you moving, which I appreciate.
Awesome.
Aw, he's so sweet. He's not gonna make it.
One thing I really want to celebrate about this game, I know it's a live service game and it's got microtransactions, you can buy new costumes, but they give you the ability to unlock new costumes for your characters for free. I mean, you had to buy the game, but in the game you can do these races and unlock new looks for Deadshot, for Boomerang, all of them, and that's in the game. I feel like I haven't seen a lot of games that allow you to actually unlock cosmetics without having to buy them. So if you're upset about the fact that there are things you can buy on top of the main game, just know that there's a lot more that you can unlock by playing the game. And these costumes also serve as a little badge of honor when you play online with your friends. Like, yeah, I did that race, I got 2 stars, I can make Deadshot look like this now. I knew that I was going to enjoy this game on some level. It's open world, there's character levels, there's gear, I love that kind of stuff. I love me a good looter shooter. But I wasn't expecting to enjoy the movement as much as I did, or the combat diversity as much as I did. And with all of these things yet to do and all of the stuff that I can still unlock, I find myself returning to the game every single day since it came out. And I know that the developer of this game is synonymous with making a really high quality AAA Batman series, and that this game is in no way a successor to those Batman games except by featuring the same Batman. This is a totally different experience. They tried something different and I enjoyed it. So if you just hedge your expectations and remind yourself that this is not Arkham Metropolis or whatever you want to call it, then you actually might enjoy this game. The game's live service elements don't take center stage here. The game's all about having fun and cracking some stupid jokes. And I was very surprised by all the build crafting options that are present, as well as the different playstyles you can achieve with each character. And the fact that they're gonna add more characters down the line is pretty exciting to me. And I'm really excited that Rocksteady tried something different. They made some really great games with the Batman Arkham series, and now they're trying something new, and I'm excited to see where this goes. I wasn't expecting to enjoy this game as much as I did. I really thought that I was just gonna play it enough to make the review and move on from it, but I think I'm gonna play it when I'm done making this video. And if you're playing Suicide Squad, let me know in the comments what your favorite character is, what kind of builds you've been coming up with, because the story is one thing, but there's a lot to talk about when it comes to how you play this game. If you like this video, make sure you like the video, and if you really like this video and you wanna see more of this, then make sure you subscribe to my channel. Once this game was announced, I knew I'd be making a video about it, so thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.